corner where the treats at.
Is this the passing of the torch, right? Is this what this signifies?
It comes down to that front office and what they feel is most important.
The champ is here. We've touched down from a higher plane. Why you made it here?
We always look forward to that week because it was always intense.
You know that we ain't coming back. We about to.
The man, the myth, the legend, Dante Hall. My favorite player growing up was Dante Hall. I love you guys in the show, but Dante was my guy.
Get to dashing because you done on the warfare.
This episode of Chief Concerns is brought to you by betonline.ag. BetOnline is the fastest and easiest way to wager on all your favorite sports, contests, and events with first-to-market odds and lines. Find reviews and news for every league, including Major League Baseball, NFL, NBA, NHL, combat sports, esports, and even golf. BetOnline continues to be the top online resource for all your sports information, from live in-game betting, props, and futures. Head to BetOnline today or use your mobile device to join today and make your first sports bet. Use our promo code BELIEVE50, that's BLEAV50, to receive your 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. BetOnline, where the game starts. Hey guys, welcome to another episode of your Chief Concerns post-game show. I'm Marcus Dash here with our guy Lance, and as always, our guy Jason Dunn, former Chiefs tight end, will be joining us shortly. So another one where 2 weeks in a row where we thought we'd be coming on here, celebrating the domination, like 500 yards passing, maybe getting to see some Chad Henne looks. Didn't happen 2 weeks in a row of that. Pretty unfortunate. Obviously, we came out with a win, and we were the AFC West champs, but it doesn't feel like we're the AFC West champs after that game, which is kind of nuts. What were your thoughts, Lance? I know you're not as excited as I thought you'd be going. We both thought we'd be coming on here and popping champagne, and we aren't doing that right now. We're kind of just holding our breaths as what we just saw because we almost just lost to the freaking Houston Texans. So, what were your thoughts, my man?
Do you remember when in 2018 when the Patriots won the AFC Championship at Arrowhead, and they were handing Bill Belichick the AFC Championship, and he just kind of grabbed it and handed it over to the next guy because it didn't really matter to him at that point? That's how I'm starting to feel with AFC West championships, because at this point it's become just an assumed achievement for the Chiefs. I still want to celebrate them in some regard because I know how hard it is to win in the NFL and to win at a high level. But we both know that the aspirations and expectations that we have for this team are no longer what they were 10, 15, 20 years ago, which was get to 10 wins, hope for the best, see if you can get in the playoffs, and see if you can make a run. Now it's Super Bowl or bust. And, that's it's great to see 7 straight, and I'm happy that the Chiefs got it done. But, the thing that I learned the most today in this game, and Marcus, I know that here at the Chief Concern post-game show, you guys don't want to focus too much on things that are not X's and O's and player-related. But, for years now, we've really sat here and wondered, who's going to be that true rival for Patrick Mahomes? Is it going to be Joe Burrow? Is it going to be Josh Allen? Is it going to be Lamar Jackson? And all this time, there's been this striped SOB by the name of Carl Cheffers that has just been making his way into all of our lives, whether we want him there or not. And he has done everything in his power to try to get the Chiefs to take losses they should not have. And he's done it multiple times this year alone against the Raiders. He calls a roughing the passer penalty against Chris Jones, who had full possession of the ball, which would be literally impossible. Then they allowed the Texans today to review a play that the forward progress had stopped, and they still let the Texans review it, and then they gave him the ball.
Yeah.
He called, I think, 5 of 7 plays against the Chiefs on defense. He called penalties on the Chiefs. He called an illegal contact when a Texans receiver ran into Juan Thornhill. He called an illegal block on Jerick McKinnon when the defender was running into Jerick McKinnon. I don't know how to explain this. All I can say, though, Marcus, is that if I'm the NFL, if I'm Roger Goodell, I don't let that man step foot on an NFL field again and represent my brand. He is horrible. He is embarrassing. He is terrible. He is a joke. He is despicable. That man is terrible at what he does, and he should never officiate another game. Having said that, Marcus, the Chiefs left a lot of opportunities on the field today. They go out there in their first 2 possessions, were absolutely flat on offense. Looked horrible. And then when they had opportunities to score in special teams, what do? Harrison Butker, the Chiefs are going to go tied up at half, which is already embarrassing as it is, and he decides to shank wide left. And the Chiefs go trailing into the second half against a one-win team. And then when they need him, whether you like Andy Reid's call or not, which I did not like at all, I wanted Patrick Mahomes to go for that touchdown.
Way too conservative.
I hated the play calling on that drive. Having said that, Harrison Butker had an opportunity to drop a 51-yarder, and that's something I've always given him credit on, is that he might miss a PAT, but this dude will sink the clutch kicks, and he shanks that one wide right. Marcus, I think it's time the Chiefs really start to think about moving on to another kicker, because you now cannot trust Harrison Butker to make the big kicks. We can live with a missed PAT here and there as long as he's making kicks like that. If he'd have sunk that and didn't have to go overtime, we're sitting here going, well, he did make the clutch kick. He did not do it today. That makes you wonder if you're going to be able to trust him in the playoffs in a deep push in a big game. I think there's a lot of movement the Chiefs are going to have to make this offseason. I'm sure we'll talk about that as time comes on. Yep. But there's a lot of concerns from this game. And being on the Chief Concern postgame show, this is the perfect place to be talking about it.
Oh, yeah. I mean, going back to – I quote tweeted during the game. It was – yeah, so we tweeted this on November 6th. I forgot what game that was. But we tweeted that, low-key might have to look at a new kicker this coming offseason. It was a kind of a mixed bag. Got killed by some fans. Didn't get killed by some other fans. I got defended on some. But then today, a lot of fans are coming around now. The extra point, and we've talked about on the show before, all you got to do in our offense, very rarely field goals, but PATs, you lock those in. And we talked about before, JD's guy, Morton Anderson, he was solid with the PATs. That's all pretty much he had to do. That was a high-scoring offense. Make your PATs, make your 40-yarders, solid. I mean, he started – I get you missed the 51-yarders, but that's one thing everyone always said, he's clutch with the 50-yard kicks. I mean, the fact that we played that so conservative at the end and we were relying on Butker to come in and make that, and he just – I mean, that was awful. He had the leg there, just wide right. Rough. There's a few things I want to talk about here, but our guy JD is just joining us right now, so we're going to get our guy, former Chiefs tight end Jason Dunn in here. JD, what's going on, brother?
What's up, man? What's happening? What's up, Lance?
How you doing, my friend?
Good. How's it going? Y'all doing all right?
Yeah, we thought we were going to be, coming on here and popping champagne, celebrating 7 straight AFC West titles, but I don't know, man. I think after that close overtime win against Houston, I think everyone's just kind of like perplexed as to what they saw today. And kind of when we talked about JD on our show, we talked about what's the likelihood and what do we have to do this weekend in order to, or what does Houston have to do this weekend to kind of take away a win? And you were like, there's a chance it could happen. I mean, and hey, they were this close. And I'll say this before we talk about the game itself. If you were watching that game, did not know any record at all, you would think Houston was the better team. They played more aggressive and more physical than us all game long. They were laying the wood. Regardless, some were penalties. I know the one on JuJu was a penalty. You just had more physical plays. And they were the aggressors bullying us the entire game, it seemed like. And that's what stood out to me. And I'm like, are we that finesse, just that offensive team? Or we're kind of looking like that finesse soft team. People just want to, out physical us. And it seemed Houston, obviously, they don't have the talent that we do, but they were just laying the wood on us all day. JD, kind of talk to us about what you saw out there from the aggression point of view, because Houston was bringing it to us today.
Well, first off, I want to go ahead and give a shout out for let's celebrate the 7, okay? Because that's a great accomplishment. I don't want to lose that. All right, and of course, of all the busts and everything that happened, I don't want to do that to them, because that's something that needs to be celebrated. So I'm gonna definitely say that. Take my hat off to them for that. Okay. Now, getting into this, without a doubt, when I looked at it, it was just low energy on defense, offense, and it was some hitting out there. It was absolutely so. When you talk about laying the wood, I seen it. The Texans absolutely coming in blasting every chance they got. Every shot they was taking, like they were playing like a 1-11 team. Like they didn't care. They was like, no holds barred. We 1-11. We're gonna try everything. When they did the double reverse, try to pass, and all, let it all hang out. Why not? Right? We're not supposed to win this game anyway. So let's go in there and go bloody somebody's nose. That's to them. That's their mindset. Our mindset should have been, when you come in, is methodically going down the field, stopping them on defense. I mean, most of their guys are out. The number one receivers and stuff they out of there. The quarterback, they had two quarterbacks come in. What's his name? And lined up half the time on the outside of wide receiver. I'm sitting there thinking like he's just trying to occupy space, right? Because somebody's got to cover him. But it just it just looked like guys just wasn't focused up. And when you have that type of turnovers, you have like that that's less sense of urgency. You could tell what it was. And so look, I understand this. And here's the reality of it, okay? Guys that compete for a living, even though you in the ring, you out there on the football field, 1-11 team to get up to play is tough. I'm not saying it's your job. You're supposed to do that. You're supposed to win. But when somebody starts hitting you in the mouth, then something should transition in your head like, wait a minute, hold on. We need to understand that these guys are not playing around. We cannot lose to them. And so it just seemed like it was a mess. It was just a mess all the way around. The tempo of everything wasn't there. So it was a lot of that. I just seen it was a blase type of deal that everybody was just kind of going through. And so I can imagine what that locker room was going out there for the game. It was almost like everybody's like, hey, yeah, let's go kind of type of deal, right? You're trying to get everybody up to go out there and compete, but it's still low energy. It just, and you can see it. You can see it in the product they put out there today. So.
Yeah, the thing that I'm always a results guy. I know that being a former player, JD probably looks at everything from the play-by-play. I look at the results, and I see that there's a real problem when in a 2-week span. And there's some positives to talk about on the offensive side that we can talk about when it comes to Jerick McKinnon and what he's done over the last 2 weeks. But on the defensive side, it's very worrisome to me. And there might be explanations for it, but just from a results standpoint, it's very worrisome to me that the Chiefs give up 6 touchdowns to Russell Wilson and Davis Mills in a 2-week span. And the way the touchdowns come sometimes looked a little easy because Davis Mills literally runs that into the end zone without a single guy touch him. There's no spy there. And like I said, I think like JD just said, I think a lot of it comes down to energy because I think, you know what, if I don't want to give the Chiefs an excuse here because I don't think there are any. I think they have to wear this one because even though they got the win, it does feel like, man, they kind of lost this one at the same time. It almost feels like the Chiefs have gotten bored because kind of like what we allude to, no matter how many times they've won the AFC West, it's still something you have to pay attention to and admire and, acknowledge because it's difficult to win in the NFL. JD, you know this. But it's almost like they're just like, okay, let's just get through these damn last 3-4 games. Let's get into the playoffs. Now we'll be ready. And I'm not saying that's right, but it does feel that way. It does look that way on both sides of the ball, especially, like I said, when they came out and those first 2 offensive drives, it looked like the Chiefs were just like, yeah, we're just going to score. There ain't be no big deal, man. We'll just take care of business. They're missing half their roster. They're a 1-11 team. MVS, short throw. MVS had a touchdown waiting on that throw. I mean, there was a lack of motivation because we've seen this team on the opposite end. We saw when they went to San Francisco, that team was there to make a statement, and they went out there and did that and won by 3 touchdowns against a team that hasn't lost since. And then you look at it. Then you look at the Buccaneers game. Chiefs go out there and blow the doors off them as well. When this team is at their best, I tweeted this earlier. When the Chiefs are at their best, there is nobody in this league that can beat them. The problem is, it's hard sometimes to get the Chiefs to play at their best because, like I said, I think that when you are this successful for this long, it almost becomes methodical. It becomes lethargic. It just becomes a routine. And I'm not saying that's right. I'm saying that just might be the reality of what we're looking at right now from this team.
Yeah, 100%. And that's the mindset of it, right? And I think human nature, part of why we strive as humans is we need challenges. Right? We need that opposition to become better. Okay. And so sometimes the failure in those things that you have that's what you need. You just need that to really, get out there and see your best. And sometimes what you said, Lance, these next few games, what you're looking at. You're looking at teams that don't have great records. Okay. All these teams you should beat these next 4, but it's like, man, can we get ourselves up mentally prepared to go play these games? And just get through it. And probably the worst thing could happen, all right, is you can get caught up in that, like you said, just the monotony of everything, where you do lose games, okay, or guys get hurt because you're not focused on how you should be doing it. And so that's the same thing we talk about society. If nobody's being challenged and then you just get handed everything all the time without any type of, merit and others, then you just become complacent. And that's what it is. It's complacency right now. But other than that, I think, like you said, defensively, we just kind of talk about it. We just didn't really see any pressure, any pass rush. Guys just weren't getting back there to him at all. And so Mills got in because everybody's looking around, trying to cover in zone, and then all of a sudden we make a break because I think it was Kalafkas who came in. Well, Mills leaves the door wide open on the outside. There was nobody there because everybody's in coverage. And so that's part of the defense where you'll see like some of these things with the weaknesses that comes up. But if you don't have anybody coming back and get any type of pressure, any type of push, that is a problem. That's an issue. That is an issue. The only one I seen today that was kind of getting back there that looked like he had half the sense to him was Dunlap. Dunlap is he's a veteran guy. He's been doing it for a long time, and you expect veteran guys like that to be like, hey man, shoot, somebody's got to go out here and make a play. Mm-hmm. And I guess he could sense that everybody else around him, whatever it might have been. And look, when I'm telling you, you look up and down that sideline, you could just feel it. There's an air at it, right? All of a sudden you go down, you don't score on your first drives out. We ran it once for the first 10 plays, one run. You know what I mean? Then all of a sudden we come out the third series and start running it. It's like, where was this at? Yeah. How are we not trying to run down their throats anyway by doing this? You know, I mean, this for the life of me, when I'm sitting there watching this game, like you said, it's a head scratcher. You're just perplexed. But we know how these things kind of go. It's like one of those things that whatever back can happen, probably will. Then Buckner comes out there, misses the extra point. You're just like, what? Well, daggone. I guess this is what we're going to do today, huh? Yeah. This is what the day is going to be. All day it's going to be like this. And it was. It was just like that. And so it was like that whole hum. We just got to get past this thing. You know, hey, guys, come on, let's go. I mean, I seen Pat, kind of yelling at Kelce, like, come on, come on, man, let's snap out of it. But you could see everybody was just kind of dragging their feet. They was just dragging around, except Jet, another veteran guy. Jet is Johnny on the spot, where you need him to be to make a play. He's going to be there for you. Mm-hmm. You don't have to worry about him. I said that, last week. I said, this is the guy that you can lean on and say, we need to give the ball to him. And, to make a play, to make a guy miss, he's going to do it. So he's in the end zone twice tonight. Because why? Because he understands what these things mean. He's going to play for a long time. And, Pacheco's got to learn that. He's got to learn that. I said, for him, the season would have been over if he was at Rutgers. We know this. This has been it for him. And so I think he was just kind of in that field for a guy that is a rookie that's got to learn how to play, experienced football.
Now I see Lance Mansfield is talking about blaming refs is hilarious. And Lance, you weren't to start off. Lance kind of talked about the officiating today. You weren't blaming the refs for this game being as close as it was, but it definitely helped. And the one thing that I wanted to ask you about, JD, was when this happened, and Lance kind of mentioned this when we start off the game, or start off the show, but when they call the forward progress, because forward progress is not a reviewable play. Yeah. But somehow Houston was able to challenge the fumble on that play. And I wanted to ask you about that. The way that the refs kind of allow them to challenge that, they kind of skirt around the rule to challenge that play and ultimately get the ball back on that. It's not very often where you're going to see teams get to challenge plays that are not really reviewable. I was kind of, I was perplexed when I obviously I knew that play is not a challengeable play, but then yet somehow they were able to challenge that and they got the ball back. What was your takeaway from that and overall the officiating? And I want to get your kind of opinion on that, because you're a player who knows that officiating is always going to happen. There's going to be bad calls, there's going to be good calls. Shit happens, right? I just want to get your take on what you saw today on the officiating.
I mean, I thought it was messy too. Just by the officiating it was just messy. It was just messy all the way around. I mean, they picked up 3 flags today. 3. Yeah. I'm like, what? That many flags, and everybody's coming over and convening like, hey, what was that? You picking up a flag like 3 times? Like that's too much. Or it's way too much. Somebody should have been making notes, and they are. Like this crew right here did a terrible job as far as that. I'm not blaming the refs, right? These calls are going to be made. I understand that. We live and die by the play, whatever it is. I think the break in, the play with the whole, what was it? Like blocking back, which was a terrible call on McKinnon, coming back, on the blind guy. He clearly sees him. And he lowers the boom on McKinnon, right? And then all of a sudden, I guess they went ahead and talked him into it. I don't quite understand why New York or somebody didn't say, hey, wait a minute, we can't review that play, to challenge it. But, forward progress, as a fumble, they challenge a fumble, fine, all right? That the play in itself is a good call because he fumbled it, okay? I understand. But if you're saying forward progress, can you challenge that and as it being a fumble? I don't know. But like I said, man, the whole crew, it was just messy. The game was just messy out there. It was. But we just, to be honest with you, that's why I don't like putting things on the refs. I don't like putting things on the kickers. When guys out there supposed to be doing a job, look, do your job, okay? You're supposed to be putting things out there that's supposed to be right, supposed to be professional to get these things done, okay? And the guys will probably admit, I'm sure they will. Now, we can all agree that what they put out there today wasn't it. It's not playoff. That's not playoff ball. We know that. It's not playoff ball whatsoever.
JD, you played in the league for over 10 years. I'm sure there was at least a handful of games where the officiating was absolutely abysmal, and you guys probably felt in your own sense that they were out to get you guys. But I guarantee you, and I don't want to put words in your mouth, but I guarantee you the onus and the responsibility in your mind was still on you guys. And that's where I still will put it on the Chiefs today. Right. I will say this, that both things can be true. That the Chiefs missed multiple opportunities to put this game away on their own selves and on their own shoulders. And Carl Cheffers and his crew were absolutely an embarrassment. Because both things were true. JD, you're a lot nicer than me, man. You say it a lot nicer. And I'll come out and say it like I told Marcus from the jump. My first opening take today is that I think that should be the last time we see Carl Cheffers officiate a game, because this is now the second time in just a Chiefs game where he's made horrendous call after horrendous call after horrendous call. Having said that, the Chiefs came out on back-to-back possessions on offense and three and out. They turned the ball over again, this time again giving their defense a short field to defend, and the Texans score. JuJu Smith-Schuster lets the ball down. That was a horrendous piece of officiating. That should have never been a fumble because his forward progress did stop. That should have never been reviewed. Having said that, he did drop the ball, which gave them the opportunity to at least try to justify it. Therefore, that's a turnover, and the Texans scored on that one as well. And then you look at Harrison Butker leaving 4 points on the field with his kicks, missing an extra point and missing that field goal. If the Chiefs take care of business, it doesn't matter how bad Carl Cheffers was today. So I am somebody that you guys both follow me on Twitter. You know I am not afraid to tell you how I feel about officiating. But at the same time, I'm also not afraid to call out the team when they're the ones that are screwing things up and making this game closer than it had to have been. Chiefs don't make those mistakes. Special teams takes care of business. The Chiefs don't turn the ball over. They don't come out flat-footed on offense. Guys, we're not talking about a game that goes in overtime. We're talking about a game that Patrick Mahomes, when he completed 20 consecutive passes, would have been the biggest storyline of the game, not them going into overtime with a one-win team that's going to get the first overall pick. So, yes, from the officiating standpoint, horrific display. Horrific display. It's so sad to see the NFL, the best product in all of American sports, have something this inept as their officiating. And it's also so sad when you see a team as great as the Chiefs, a team that has been this successful over the last 5 to 7 years, still struggle to get up for games like this when they should be blowing teams like this out of the water. It's really sad to say, and both things are true, and both things are very much what took place today. And the fact that we had to stress out over this game, man, is just something that I'm going to scratch my head for the rest of this week until they move on and play the Seahawks on Saturday.
Yeah, I think a lot of it has to do with, just the play calling in itself, or the officiating itself this year, to be honest with you, because there's a lot of ambiguity as far as like some of the calls, what should be this, what should be that, right? It's kind of open to your own interpretation. And when you're making the crew, because it's nothing that is just etched in stone, it's just like how we see it, right? Like we keep going back to like Chris Jones, like following on the guy that we seen Stallworth, the same thing on Joe Burrow. Like, did y'all really see that? That's the call that y'all making. Y'all gonna stay with it. And so that's why I have an issue with it. And when I look at officiating, I look at it from the other side too. I'm like, well, let's just say that was against the Chiefs, okay? And that was, I don't know, whoever receiver that they had. And they was going for progress and fumble the ball. We'd be wanting the ball back too. Like, hey, man, I was, that's a fumble, right? Mm-hmm. So I try to stay balanced as far as like that. I know these guys go out there and it's hard for them what they need to do, but it was absolutely atrocious. I give you that, no doubt about it. Today, I've never seen like that many flags being picked up. Oh, there's no flag on display. I'm like, what? Another one?
Yeah.
Like if this is what's going to be, then y'all need every flag that y'all throw. Then y'all need to convene on every single on every flag and replay it just to make sure it's what it is, right? I mean, if not, then what's the whole point of like, well, we're just going to pick up the flag on this one and not that one?
Yeah.
I think it was just terrible, man.
It literally looked like it felt like, especially in that third and fourth quarter, they were throwing a flag and then they get together and go, hey, did you see anything? Did you see anything? Okay, we didn't see anything. Let's pick it up. There's nothing on the play. Like, if you're going to throw a flag, you got to have conviction and say, we saw something, therefore the flag came out. Not, hey, we're going to throw a flag. There may have been something. Let's get together. That's what I'm talking about. That looked like that crew's first day together, man. It was embarrassing for the NFL. Not just because we're Chiefs fans and we had to suffer the punishment of some of these bad calls. It's just from a brand standpoint. It looked embarrassing. If I was a casual fan and watched this game, it was one of the first games I'd watch. I'm like, you guys get enjoyment out of this? This isn't football.
Yeah.
This is a joke. It's a flag party, man. We're having a confetti party on this field. What the hell? I mean, I think at one point, Carl Sheffers had more pass attempts than Patrick Mahomes did. He's gonna have to ice that shoulder after game with all the flags he threw. So I'm just saying, man, like it was bad, guys. It was really bad, and the NFL needs to start taking this seriously because they just don't, because they know we keep coming back. But this is becoming a bigger and bigger problem.
Yeah, that one I remember when they replayed the one on McKinnon, and you see him on the sideline getting out to throw the flag, and I'm sitting there like, how did you in your mind think he's peeling back on this guy? Like the play's running his way, right? Everybody sees it. McKinnon's actually on the side. He's on the same side.
Yeah.
Why is this a peel back?
Right.
The guy didn't see him. I mean, clearly he sees McKinnon because McKinnon is a potential blocker, right? He knows that. And so he immediately sees McKinnon pull back. He engages with him, sheds him, puts him off, but apparently it's a blind block. Yeah, to me, it was terrible, man. It was. But like I said, man, we talk too much about the rest, man. Just the game in itself, from what we've seen, like you said, one of the keys to victory we were talking about in the show earlier, Lance, this past week, I said we got to protect the football. We talked about turnovers and what we was giving up. We had to protect the football because that's life in the NFL. We had 2 turnovers, 2. Pacheco, and then we talking about JuJu. There's 2 turnovers. And so those things shouldn't happen. The guys got to take care of the football better than that. And not only that, but take the ball away. We had the one strip on Mills. Well, one on Mills. I'm trying to think. I'm trying to go through it. I don't know. My head's just rushing. But I was like, oh man, we finally got one, and we almost bumbled that one, Yeah. So I just, it's one of those things that's hard to watch, no doubt about it. And these guys have been winning for a long time. But when you sit there and you look at, like you said, the product, if nobody knew what the records were, you'd have been sitting there thinking, like, well, who's the better team?
Yeah.
Because it's a totally 2 different mindsets out there. Somebody's like, oh man, we just trying to get in, stay in there to win, right? That's what it was. And so, much more aggressive team on the Texans side of it. I think a lot of it, like I said, had to do with being 1-11. Lovey's a good coach. I'm not taking that away from me because I know he's going to get these guys ready to play. Okay, that's another element they have on it that kind of sways in their favor to come out to this game and try to beat the Chiefs. Why wouldn't you? Everybody's Super Bowl. We know this. We know when we come in the building, everybody understands they're playing the Chiefs. We got to beat these monsters of a team and all the players that they got. The boy wonder, Patrick Mahomes, Travis Kelce, and so they know that. We know that. So we just got to have a more pristine, clean game where we just handily beating guys, and it's just we just rolling, and we just haven't seen like that in the last 3 to 4 weeks, to be honest with you. So
yeah, the stoppage of play was ridiculous. I mean, I think this is our most penalized game of the season. We had 10 penalties.
10. And you know the second most? The second most was against the Raiders, and guess who officiated that game? Carl Sheffers.
Wow. No, that makes sense. Very, very similar. The way the game went, the game flow is very similar. A lot of stoppage. But yeah, 10 penalties, and then on top of the on the stoppage of play to discuss picking up the flag as well. I mean, so it's ridiculous.
What's the NBA ref that I always hated? Tim Duncan.
Crawford.
Yeah,
was it Joey Crawford?
Joey Crawford, right. Tim Duncan was just sitting on the side, just like that. He teased him up. He's like, "What are you doing?" Like, what? I like how you was looking at me, how you was breathing.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
that's a rivalry. I'm telling you. I think Patrick Mahomes and Carl Sheffers they have a rivalry now. I really think that's the thing.
I wanted to ask you about this actually. What our guy Dan Bursch has asked, on a scale of 1 to 10, how confident are you guys the Chiefs defense will hit that next level playoff gear? And that's kind of what I want to ask you guys. During that game, you got guys like Royce Freeman popping off about getting 5 yards of carry on us, and it's like Royce Freeman, guys. I mean, bounced around the league. He had some big hope when he got drafted by the Broncos. Really never panned out. And then he's coming. A journeyman is coming here, popping up 5 yards of carry. In the past, we've talked about these backup running backs, going off for 5 yards, 6 yards of carry against us. Are you guys worried about what you're seeing from our run defense and obviously our secondary? The illegal contacts, Juan Thornhill, I felt was getting picked on today. Do you think we're going to get this next level of playoff gear from the defense? Or what do you guys think? I mean, how hopeful are you that we can kind of get stuff together going into the playoffs?
Look, you have to have a great scheme going in. It's all about execution of that scheme. That's what it's about. It's about guys understanding where they're supposed to be. I think one of them, matter of fact, when I was looking at the defense, Chanel should have been in the area and he got lost. I seen him kind of take the back, but he should have actually been sitting back in zone, and he kind of left Bolton out there on the island, and he kind of got a couple of those in the middle. So it's still young guys. Just got to understand that you kind of go through the meetings because you got young guys around you. You do, but I think you win the game up front. It's about the front four. That's what it's about, really. I mean, you got to generate pressure and pass rush and sacks, and that's what defense is all about. Tackles. We wasn't very good tackling today either. I kind of feel we were sliding down, getting guys, and they was getting out of the tackle, and we was like finally made it. We was like, man, I got him down, but it seemed like it's like, man, he almost missed it. And so things, fundamentals, we just had to do. Hey, tackles, takeaways, sacks, pressures, those things you got to be able to do to win the championship football, especially on the defense. Mm-hmm. Right now, those guys up front have to be able to do that. They have to.
To answer his question as candidly as possible, no, I'm not concerned yet. I would still put, on a scale of 1 to 10, I'd still have the Chiefs very much between 8 and 9. Simply because of the fact that this team gets the benefit of the doubt with me. As critical as I will be about them, as much as I'll criticize them for certain things, I do believe there is validity to this team being bored right now. We've seen it over the last couple of years especially. And even if you go back to 2018, you saw how the Chiefs started to lose games later in the season. They started to lose to, when the whole Kareem Hunt thing went down, they had to make some adjustments. Chiefs dropped back-to-back games to the Chargers, one in overtime, and then to the Seattle Seahawks the next week. And then the Chiefs just kind of puttered into the playoffs and then made that run and lost in overtime to the inevitable Super Bowl champion New England Patriots. That was with Patrick Mahomes' first season as a starter, and they had the 24th ranked defense. So that was about as bad as it got. And then the next couple of seasons, you saw this, like I said, the Chiefs, although were hot in 2019, won the Super Bowl. They had all 3 games in that playoff run. They were down double digits at least one time in those games and won all 3 of those games. And then in 2020 and 2021, they kind of sputtered at the end of the season, and then they went on big runs and started having some dominating performances. And if I recall, 2020, they beat a 13-3 Bills team by 14 points in the AFC Championship. And then we saw what they did against the Bills last year. So I'm going to give this team a lot of benefit of the doubt until they prove to me that early in the playoffs, they can't hit that next gear. Because every single season with Patrick Mahomes, early in the playoffs, they hit that gear. And they have yet to not host the AFC Championship since Patrick Mahomes has been their quarterback. So from a scale of 1 to 10, I am extremely confident they can do it because they've not proven to me otherwise that they can't. So they have problems. I'm not going to sit here and try to sugarcoat anything. I am not somebody that does that. It's not my style. But I'm not going to sit here and look at a team that has Patrick Mahomes, Andy Reid, Travis Kelce, and Chris Jones, the guys that have proven it time and time again over these last 5 years, and say that they're not going to do that exact same thing yet again. I still very much believe the Chiefs are going to get to the Super Bowl, and I still believe they're going to win the Super Bowl. It may not be as easy as some of these other ones, but again, to reiterate my point, the year that the Chiefs have won the Super Bowl, that road to the Super Bowl victory was anything but easy. They had to win all 3 games in a very uncomfortable fashion. None of us were comfortable in any of those 3 games, guys. As I recall, 24-0 ain't comfortable against the Texans, and they end up going on a 51-7 run. So I think this team's going to take care of business. They're going to find it. I think they're methodical right now. I think they're bored. I think they're playing with their food too much. I don't like it as a fan. It pisses me off, quite frankly, but in the grand scheme of things, I think when playoff time comes, you're going to see the great Patrick Mahomes do what he does, and I think this defense, with the experience they've accumulated this season and a lot of unnecessarily close games, they're going to utilize those experiences and build upon them.
Yeah, and I really believe, like Williams will get it. He'll start getting into shape too. He'll be able to help out, right? He just got here, so he still got to get into shape on the inside. You'll start seeing some more guys kind of come up and start playing a little bit better. I told you, a secondary. I like our secondary, and I think Spags and them is going to be. It's like you said, when you bring the temperature up and challenge a great team, you'll start seeing the greatness come out of guys. That's what you start seeing. That's what guys live for. So guys that compete for a living, you look for that next challenge. You're trying to, climb Mount Everest. You're trying to get to the top and stay at the top. So this is what it's all about. And so when you're playing, kind of the lower class of guys and stuff like that, and teams, it's like, yeah, oh man, okay. Hey guys, let's go at it. Let's go. Come on. And you hate the trip. Believe me, you got, in the hotel room and eating, like you said, eating the food, and all those different things, man, kind of weigh on you. You kind of wish you was home. And those guys are like, man, look, let's get up out of here. I don't even want to talk to nobody. Let's just get on the bus, get on the plane, and head back to Kansas City. Okay. So I think our defense is going to do well. No doubt about it. And I agree with you, Lance. I think we're going to get to the Super Bowl. So I'm going to get out here and start watching some of this Tampa Bay and Bengals game and see it. I thought what's name was going to lose last night. The Bills, but they should have. They should have lost that game.
Mm-hmm.
So I think, man, and even then, we're still in the whole race to be number 1 seed in the AFC. So we got the easier road, of course, but that road, because it's so easy to us, it's gonna be some trials and tribulations with that as well.
Yeah. Before we go and get to watch the rest of the 4 o'clock games, I just want to ask you, JD, a big topic on our show is turnover differential. Today, with based on everything that's going on so far, we've dropped down now. So we were -5. We were 28th in the league going into this game. Now we're tied for 31st at -6. So we dropped 1 since then. You said, and that's a huge thing. And to do this against a team that's 1-11-1 is one thing, but then you're going against the team. You're going against Buffalo. You're going against Cincinnati. You're going to be going against these teams in the playoffs. I mean, is it just kind of surprising we continue to lose these turnover battles, but then yet squeak out these wins? Because that's got to say something too. As well, we're 31st in the league, but we're still squeaking out these games, and we're still losing the turnover battle, which is mind blowing to me.
I mean, it's mind blowing. I'm sure it's mind blowing to them too. Guys, it's uncharacteristic of like giving up the ball, like JuJu, Pacheco, Kelce the other day, and you just realize, well, I did not squeeze that ball tight enough. How did I let that go? Right. So it's just one of those things, man, that you just got to concentrate and focus on all the time. But it's tough to see, as a team, as an offense, you start looking just overall, what you're giving up, man, you don't feel happy about that. I guarantee you hear it in the meetings every single day. I guarantee they reiterate it every single day in practice, in the meeting room. We need to take care of the football, guys. We have to. And then, defensively, we got to take the ball away. We got to do more than this. And so, that's always going to be harped on. That's always going to be said. The thing is, the guys just got to achieve it. They have to. So,
yeah, if you look at this team right now with the -6 turnover takeaway situation they have right now, I think they're 3rd or 4th worst in the league right now when it comes to that, and they're the only team in the bottom 5 that's even a playoff team. Second? Are they second worst?
Yeah, we're tied with Rams at -6, and then there's two teams tied at -12, so we're tied for 31st.
Yeah, so basically it's terrible. And in fact, according to what I saw on Twitter today, this is the longest streak in Andy Reid's 24 years as a head coach with at least one turnover in a game, 9 straight games. From right now, as it looks in the regular season, I hate it. It looks really bad. It looks really sloppy. It doesn't look like a team that can win a Super Bowl. But I think this is going to be something, well, again, where I feel like I'm kind of repeating myself in my previous take about giving this team the benefit of the doubt. I'm going to trust this coaching staff and this quarterback to figure out how to get this stuff tightened up before the playoffs, because if it stands as it is, the Chiefs are going to play in the wild card round. And we saw last year when the Chiefs had some of the concerns they had, they went out there and they put together everything they needed to put together and put that Steelers game away immediately. They destroyed that team, and it didn't matter whether they had to play in the wild card round or not, and they ended up hosting that AFC Championship anyway. Turnovers are a problem, but they're a problem you can fix. This isn't a team that is just hell-bound to just turn the ball over because they're not good enough. They're making costly mistakes, but mistakes can be fixed. It's one thing, we talk about the run game. Remember we talked about this last week, which, by the way, credit to the Chiefs. They ran the ball 33 times today. That's what I like to see, a balanced attack. I want to give them credit for that. But we talked last week about if the Chiefs had the Bucs run game, we just have to accept it for what it is, man, because they're just not good enough. They can't run the ball. But the Chiefs can, and they will. And that's what you're seeing them start to do. Those are problems you can fix, just like the problems they can fix with the turnovers. Mm-hmm. Isiah Pacheco, a 7th-round rookie, can learn from dropping that ball today. Patrick Mahomes sure as hell learned from those 3 interceptions last week because he had his best game of the season today. So I think that this team's learning from their mistakes. It isn't fun to go through. Trust me, guys, I get it. I hate seeing this team put the ball on the ground. I hate seeing that. But I think this team's going to figure it out by season's end, guys. They still have 3 games to figure this stuff out, and I think they're going to. And I will go boldly say that when they get into the playoffs, you're going to see a much sharper, more efficient team because, again, they've given me 4 full years to show me that they can do it and they will do it.
Right. You just don't want it for a guy to be in his head, start plaguing him. You know what I mean? I think that's the reason they took Pacheco out. It's like, okay, just take a break. Just sit this one out for a little bit. Let you think about a little, what went on. Get your head back together, okay, young fella. We'll bring in, Ronald Jones got a little toe today. So I'm like, oh, okay. I want to see a little bit more Rojo.
Yeah. Exactly. And shout out to Jerick McKinnon, 2 games. He's had over 20 touches for 224, I think 220 or 230 yards and 4 touchdowns. Clutch McKinnon, baby.
Man, come on now. Oh, my goodness.
He's going to be a league winner in a lot of fantasy leagues, I'll tell you that much.
No joke.
All right, guys. Well, that does it for us. Let everybody get back to the 4 o'clock games to enjoy some of the last few weeks of NFL football. Next week, Saturday, Christmas Eve. I think most teams are playing on Christmas Eve next week. We have Seattle at home, so that's going to be an interesting 1 o'clock game with Gino and the boys. So this week, don't forget to tune in to Chief Concerns this week. We're going to have the Queens of the Kingdom coming on this week for a segment on the show. So that'll be good to have them join us. And Lance, as always, you guys can follow and subscribe to Lance's show, The Spoken, every Saturday. Lance, I'm sure you got something good for us on Christmas Eve. Christmas Eve show, so you got to have something good for us, right?
Absolutely. You better believe we're bringing the presents.
All right, guys. Well, we hope everyone enjoys the rest of your Sunday, and we'll see you guys next time. Take it easy, everybody.
See you.
Right.
Hi, everybody. Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get the latest from the show. Also, be sure to check out the best clips from Chief Concerns. And if you prefer to listen to the show, subscribe and follow us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and anywhere else you get your podcasts.